Hi there, and welcome to Rusted Junk, the 80s movie podcast. Do you dream about gremlins? How hard can you actually die? Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe? If those mean something to you, then you're in the right place. This season, we're all about a dip into the 90s. So over to Charlie, Amanda, Joe and Dom for the film.
And the film we'll be covering this time in our dip into the 90s is the 1996 film Trainspotting, starring Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle, Kelly MacDonald, and others. This wasn't my choice. I probably would have selected it, but it wasn't my choice. This is Dom's choice. And Dom, why did you pick the film?
Yeah, so just indulge me for a moment, as you do every pod, Charlie. So I wanted to choose this film really for two reasons. Firstly, because there's a connection with Joe's choice of Pulp Fiction the other week or a couple of weeks ago, because I thought this made for an interesting comparison. And secondly, if we're doing 90s season, because of the place that this film holds in 1990s British culture, at least, and I'll be interested in Joe's opinion on how well it translates to US culture as well. But if I think, as we'd all agree, Pulp Fiction is perhaps the defining film of the 1990s, the definitive film of the 90s, then I'd suggest that Trainspotting is the British equivalent. So less polished, less sophisticated, less good perhaps, but the defining British film of the decade. There are one or two others up there, perhaps for argument's sake, but in my opinion, it's Trainspotting. And I think the connection with Pulp Fiction is deliberate and explicit. I think it's heavily Tarantino influenced, the way the characters are introduced, the brilliant use of iconic music. And I do think that sometimes it perhaps slips to the point of pastiche, but if you are going to copy someone, then perhaps copy the master in Tarantino. And as for its place in kind of 1990s British culture, I think a million student posters throughout university halls across the country must have had the iconic poster either of the four of the leads, with the fifth one missing out, or the choose life, choose a job opening monologue there. And for me, this film is as British in 1990s as Blur, Oasis and Britpop, Jarvis Cocker at the Brit Awards, Kate Moss and Cool Britannia, Tony Blair and the New Labour government, Loaded Magazine, the renaissance of English football and Gaza at Euro 96, ecstasy, house parties, rave music, Spice Girls, lads and ladette culture, Damien Hirst, Hugh Grantly's Hurley and That Dress. It's as 1990s as Liam Gallagher stumbling out of a nightclub and flicking the V's at the paparazzi. That, for me, is what this film represents. A brilliant era in my life. I was 14 when the 90s started, and I was 24 when they ended, and really kind of character forming rites of passage time for me. And this film and the soundtrack with it were a big part of my life growing up. So that's why I chose Trainspotting for the pod.
Wow. Are we doing scores? Are we doing scores at this point? I mean,
yeah. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to?
Yeah. Continue on, sir.
Okay, so look, so for me, the opening 30 minutes of this film is super strong. You've got the Choose Life introduction, hits you between the eyes. You've got Spud's interview at the job centre. You've got Begbie casually chucking his pint glass over his shoulder and all the carnage that ensues. You've got the pulling the girls at a nightclub and the chaos that ensues the following mornings after that. And I think the film is just full of energy. If I was going to choose adjectives to describe it, it's electrifying, it's brazen, audacious, it's challenging. But I think it's quite brave as well, because it doesn't ask you to root for any of the central characters. You're not supposed to like them or feel sympathy for them. They live like kind of vampires at the edge of society. And I think perhaps the limited budget does show through in places, and that, I'm genuinely fascinated by Joe's interpretation of the film as an American watching it. But for me, it's as I say, the quintessential British film of the 90s. It's aged generally well, I feel, and for me, it's a fantastic 9 out of 10 trip down memory lane.
Okay.
Nice.
Great opener. Joe, I'm gonna leave you to second before last, mate, because I'm dying to know. But I'm gonna let Amanda go next.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, hang on a minute. So this film was released in 1996, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. So I was 22 then, and a year into working full time after graduating from university. So I was making new sort of adult-like relationships, and which was probably reflective of the age of these characters in the film as well. Not saying I was a drug addict at all, but it was kind of a similar age group, so the connection was there. It was something that my colleagues and friends were talking about as a film, so I did see it. I didn't wait years and years for it to go onto DVD or anything, so I did see the movie at the time. But I also read the novel after watching the movie because I wanted to know a little bit more. I was quite fascinated by it. I'd never seen anything like it before. But oh my God, what a really, really hard read that is. It's all written in kind of Scottish dialect, and it took me ages to decipher. So there are also differences, characters in the book to the film, but it generally depicts the story in the film, which is essentially it's about an element of the 1990s with drug addiction, involving like a mixed bag of very different characters who would probably, I would say, never have actually been friends in real life if it wasn't for their drug taking, because they're all very diverse. So for me, the film is a story of the characters rather than the drugs, but it does lack some real grit. I think we don't get fully immersed into enough of the characters for it to really, be a full hard-hitting movie. But the soundtrack is one of the best for any movie. So watching the movie, listening to tracks I'd not heard for a while was quite a delight, really. So without going into the characters themselves, which I'm sure we'll do as we kind of continue through this review, my score is 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Are you going to continue this wave of positivity, Joe? Or are you going to tell us, I'm dying to know, by the way, must say, how you took this, how you watched this, and if you had to watch it 3 times to actually get what was going on.
Did you put subtitles on?
Oh, yeah, I did. And sometimes that didn't help at all. So it's kind of funny. I'm going to say, like, the history of this one that I could remember back when this came out, it wasn't that big over here. I think it was kind of like a niche film. Like, people would go see it, like, not in the multiplexes, but like, I didn't even know if it was playing in the multiplexes. It might have been playing in like the art house type of places, like what was one of those movies, like Waking Ned Divine. Like, we would always go see like these foreign movies like there. And I know a friend had seen it, and he's like, you should check it out. And again, I'd never seen it, I never bothered seeing it, but I'd seen some scenes like of Ewan McGregor coming out of the toilet and all that stuff. But yeah, I just didn't think it was like my cup of tea, so I never bothered to watch it. So I did want to thank Dom for choosing this, because I know on my deathbed, when my life flashes before me, I'm going to see the friggin' dead baby. And I'm going to see that in my nightmares. It's probably one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen in cinema. And I was like, thanks, Dom. As soon as I was watching that, that's what I said. But I will say that when I first started watching this film, I wasn't crazy about it, and I just thought it was weird. But by the end of the film, I really enjoyed it. And so much so that I watched it again, and then I watched the sequel too.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad somebody did, because then you could tell me about it. You stuck a gun to my head and said, "Tell me one scene out of Trainspotting 2." Might go ahead.
I can tell you a few anyway.
Good. You can tell us more than. Well, I don't know if everyone else is a big fan of T2, as it's called. There is only one T2.
I have watched T2.
And
That's true.
I
would say the takeaway I got from this film, though, is I think Danny Boyle, and especially after watching Trainspotting 2, he's a really good director. Because I think he gets the best out of his actors. Because I don't think these guys were really great actors, but he does something and gets something from them. And the cinematography was very good. Like you said, the soundtrack, like, it's funny because, like, you mentioned the soundtrack, that it was played all over. Even that song that was in the trailer that you hear all the time, I don't think they really played that over here. I mean,
really,
they may have played it like once or twice, but you would mostly know that from the trailer. But I would say most of those songs I never heard before.
Wow.
What you're
And-
referring to Born Slippy here, aren't we? The is that the one with the lager chorus? Yeah.
What was it? Is it called Lust for Life? Is that what
Oh,
it's
right,
called?
that's
okay.
Iggy Pop.
That's Iggy Pop, yeah.
There's
Oh, that's
Lust for
Iggy
Life,
Pop? Yeah.
Perfect Day, and Born Slippy are the three kind of iconic songs from this film. But okay, it's not that one then. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So yeah, I mean, we weren't huge Iggy Pop fans either. It's just a cultural divide, I guess. But again, I think the music did fit perfectly for it. So now that makes more sense when he mentions that he had tickets for Iggy Pop, and then he was going to go see Iggy Pop. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was a good film. It was kind of hard to understand because of the Scottish dialect. But I will say too, it kind of disappointed me in the way that I thought Scotland was a nice place to visit, and it makes it look like it's a shithole wherever they are in Scotland. It looks like I just don't want to be there. When I would think of Scotland prior to that, I would think of Braveheart, in the mountains and the hills and the bagpipes, and these are all just a bunch of degenerates. Their parents are a bunch of degenerates, and I would say the one problem I had with this film is I would have loved to see Ewan McGregor get hit by a truck at the end as he was running away and die.
Excellent.
And I would like to see all of them die. I think that there's no redeeming qualities for any of them. They should have all went to jail. They should have suffered immensely. And it just bothers me a little bit that no one died in this film other than that stupid baby.
Oh, they did. Tommy
Tommy
died.
did, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tommy died too. I forgot about that.
But don't you think that, Joe, that's quite interesting, brave filmmaking to make it so you don't root or care or sympathize for any of the protagonists? That's unusual.
No, it is. Yeah, it's like, because even like when you see a movie like Goodfellas or The Godfather, it creates this kind of mentality with some people that they're not villains, they're heroes. And for me, I didn't see them as heroes. I just kind of saw them as bad guys, but they still were interesting. Just the lifestyle that they used, and I got pissed off so many times, and I guess we'll talk about it during the movie. But I got so frustrated that things didn't happen to these people that they should have at the time. But anyway, so I would say my score, I will also agree with Amanda, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, Charlie boy.
Me.
Well, Charlie,
Hey.
pull on that tourniquet, cook your spoon, stick it in your veins, give us your scores.
I don't know. You might want to
Come
give me you might want to
Is it
engineer
golden brown?
overdose after this. So I remember cheering, Dom, when you said you're going to put Trainspotting on, and that's the one that you chose, and I went, great. We're going all the way back. Let's go back. I was 18 when the 90s started, and 28 when it finished. And I remember watching this at the time and going, this is a really good film. Watching it again, this is relevant. Have you ever heard of a show, Joe, Top of the Pops?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
The Top of the Pops. Top of the Pops is going through the 90s and has done for about the past few years. Between 1992 and 1995, the music was by and large dreadful. Not just bad, dreadful. And unfortunately, apart from Blur and Oasis, we had this thing called Britpop. And everyone went, oh, yeah, this band. And loads jumped on the bandwagon. And loads of them were rubbish. And it just brought it back to me how bad the likes of Cast, Northside, and all those sorts of stuff. And you're just thinking, you all saw the train, you all jumped on it, and you all went, come on, lads, hang on, we'll get a few bucks out of this.
My God, though, that is a low blow. Cast is debatable because they came from the Lars, who are brilliant. But what was it? Northern Uproar? Did you cite?
Northside.
Charles, that's like a pointless answer. That's like Britpop landfill. You can't cite them along as being the main protagonist in Britpop.
Suede were good.
Britpop was good. Yes, it had its
Britpop
chances
was
and
not
its,
good. In retrospect, I know you're looking at it through rose-tinted spectacles, but it wasn't as good. It was good, but it wasn't as good as you thought it was.
I never heard of any of these bands.
There's a lot of gumph in there. You must have heard of Oasis.
I've heard of Oasis, yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's their Britpop.
And you said Blur, but the other ones that you mentioned, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, honestly, he's been difficult there. Pulp, you know,
Farm?
you're familiar with Pulp, aren't you? Common People.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about the
Oh,
farm?
me? Pulp? No.
No?
remember-
Jarvis Cocker.
Do you remember Jarvis Cocker? He was the
No.
guy that got on stage in front of Michael Jackson and started wafting his bottom in front of Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson was starting to look like he was God.
Of course,
How
you
old
remember
was
Joe.
he?
Bob Mortimer got roped in as their solicitor, and had to face off against Michael Jackson's legal team. How can you not remember these moments? But yeah, look, and on the Venn diagram of music, Charlie, you're just talking
Wait a
about
minute.
white boy guitar groups. There, you got groups like Massive Attack. You got that whole Bristol trip hop scene, Portishead.
Is that Britpop? Is it?
Yeah, I would say it's adjacent to Britpop. Yeah, and if
Well,
Radiohead themselves, all right, not Britpop strictly, but a British band of the 90s.
okay, I remember a lot of the 90s being told what to like because you had to like it. And I guess, I think look, Common People is good. Jarvis Cocker is overrated. This film, I now think is overrated for what it is. And the only reason I say that is because if we were looking for a gritty Pulp Fiction-esque British response to Pulp Fiction, then thank God 2 years later, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels came along, because that is the far superior film to this.
Wow.
There is more to it. There is less baby for you, Joe. I mean, there's no
I've seen
scenes
that
like
too.
that or anything.
I've seen
There's
that
more
one.
Absolutely.
C words.
And I'm not being funny, but you've got Big Chris, Vinnie Jones against Robert Carlyle, kicking to the curb before he even got anywhere 5 feet near him. So Robert Carlyle, to me, is not a scary villain at all. He's just a man with short man syndrome that goes around and acts hard.
Mate, if you
Well,
spilt
he's
his pint
actually
in a pub,
different. He's different to the character in the book. 'Cause the character in the
Okay,
book is full dark guy.
we'll go into that because this is interesting. Joe, you've watched the sequel recently. Man, you read the book, so we're going to have a good discussion. I'm not saying
But it's many
it's a
years
bad
ago when I
film.
read the
I'm
book,
saying
but
that I think it's overrated now. I just think it's one of those
fair enough.
ones where people go, I like that bit, I like that bit, I remember that, I remember the toilet, I remember, and you're like, yeah, and it kind of like, it's a film in 3 acts. Yes, I'm a junkie. Yes, I'm getting clean. And yes, at the end, some sort of heist movie tacked on to the end. And the poorest ending in the world, I have to say. It just stops. The film just stops. And you're going, what? So
I was okay with that. I was all right.
Well, no,
with
it
that.
loops round because he's having to go at people for choosing all these superficial things in life, and he basically castigates it. But then it does a full circle, not a full circle. It does a 180. So then he actually says, "No, I want that. I'm going to get a better life, and I'm going to move away from this shit, and I'm going to have the DVD rentals. I'm going to have the
and
life
does he?
insurance. I'm going to have the
Yeah.
job."
But does he? I mean, Joe, does he?
Yeah, he does.
In the sequel,
T2,
he's got
he
everything.
does, yeah.
Right, great.
Does.
We'll go into that.
Well, I don't
I'm
know
not-
about that. That's debatable, I would say.
it's just
I mean,
debatable
I
as
mean,
Charles's opinions on this film generally. I would
Anyway,
say.
90%
Listeners,
90% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 93%
audience.
viewers audience score.
Our audience will be glad to know we're not doing a spin-off trivia time pod this week, but we are having a spin-off pod where me and Charlie just argue about the relative merits of various obscure Britpop bands, and we'll achieve 0
Yes.
viewers. But
Yes,
it'll get it off my
that's fine.
chest. Yeah.
Right, yeah, let's do it. Let's just get it out of the
Oh,
way.
don't.
So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to bring the averages down a bit.
Oh.
I'm going to give it 6 out of 10
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought you were going to do.
because if it was on, I'd watch it again. I just wouldn't go out my way now to watch it.
Well, listeners and viewers, we'll be revisiting those scores at the end to see if we can get him to up his score a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
once
please
he's
do.
got over himself. Yeah.
Dom, would you give it? I was fiddling with my mic. I was having troubles with it.
Ooh, pardon, Vicar?
Microphone.
Oh, right,
Well,
okay.
Is mic another word over in England for something?
No, you've got Big Mike over there, haven't you? That always trends on Twitter.
Oh yeah, whatever. Okay. What was your score, Dom? I missed it. Sorry.
Oh, I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
6, 2 8s, and a 9. Hey, it's all right.
So it's average of 8 then.
Yeah. Right, should we watch the trailer then? Yeah, and then we're going to watch the trailer, and then we're going to roll call. Anyway, right. Well, here's the trailer.
Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a big television.
You're a quiet, sensitive type. A little bit crazy, a little bit bad.
Choose washing machines, cars, compact displays, and dental insurance.
You lied on your application.
I like to get my foot in the door.
What exactly attracts you to the leisure industry?
I don't want pleasure. Like my pleasure and other people's leisure.
He's always been lacking in moral fibre.
He knows a lot about Sean Connery.
That's hardly a substitute.
Do you see the beast? Have you got it in your sights?
Clear enough, Mitch Moneypenny. Choose sitting on that couch watching mind-numbing, spirit-crushing game shows, stuffing junk food into your mouth.
That is a psycho, man. He's a mate. So what can you do?
What are you two talking about?
Football! What are you talking about?
Shopping.
What's on the menu this evening, sir?
The dodgiest scam in a lifetime of dodgy scams. Choose leisure wear and matching luggage. Choose good health and a career. Choose your friends. Choose your future. Choose life.
Joe, what song do you think is playing in the background of that?
I
Okay,
said
that's
it
one of those.
was Lust for Life, but I don't think that that's what it's called.
It is Lost
Right.
for Life. Yes.
Oh, it is called Lust for Life.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And is
Yeah.
that Iggy Pop?
It is Iggy Pop.
It is, yeah.
And
No, it's funny because I remember it, where I probably where I heard that song and it wasn't on the radio. I think it was in like car commercials.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I think it has been.
Yeah, he's used a lot in car commercials.
Off the back of
But
this
my claim to
film,
fame is
I was just off the back of this film. It entered the charts, didn't it? And I remember, you probably do as well, Charlie. Do you remember the Irish Club dancing to
Yes.
the
Yes.
life? Yeah. It was a bit of fluff, that was, wasn't it?
How did you dance to it?
Well, me and him would dance there. You know, when I say we're dancing together, I don't mean like one to
Yeah,
one.
we're like
but, you know,
cheek to
we were
cheek.
we were on the dance floor simultaneously to Lust for Life.
We were
to
there at the same
Old
time.
Slippy.
We just make that clear.
But how did you dance?
It sounds like a mosh pit type of
A lot of
dance song.
pogoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Oh
bumping
my
into
God.
people.
What we lacked in style and finesse, we made up for in enthusiasm. Like many
That's
things in my life, to be
hilarious.
honest.
Can I have my claim to fame?
Hilarious.
I've touched Iggy Pop's shoulder.
Oh, jeez.
Is that a claim? Something. I got on stage, he's very sweaty, but he was on stage and he brought 100 people up. I was in Belgium in 2007 and he's playing at the festival and I was at the front and I got the ramp put in front and I managed to go up. And there I was with
Shove
loads
the
of people on
wheelchairs out
stage.
the way. just stalk the ramp. Yeah. Excellent.
And I
Yeah.
touched his shoulder. So there
It's
we
easy
go.
when they're disabled, isn't it, Charles? Just give them a push.
It wasn't. They need not ramp, as in you walked up the stage rather than
Well,
you had
you
all these
did,
people
yeah.
in wheelchairs. Yeah.
Rest of them were
It
getting
wasn't like they didn't put the ramp in there for the benefit of the disabled people in the audience. It was just easy to get people on stage because it's quite high ramp. Is that what you think every time you hear ramp? It's just like that's it.
Just,
Gotta-
I just imagine you elbows flying disabled folk into the floor.
Right. Anyway, from my 6 out of 10 score, let's get to my other pet hate and let's go into roll call. Shall we? Here we go. It's roll call.
Roll call.
Ewan McGregor.
I hate him.
Yeah, well, okay. There's mixed two of us. Great. That's a good start. That's a really good start.
Well,
He
I
was
like
good in
it,
this
so-
though. He was good in this though, I will say.
Is he good in? So here's my open-ended question: is he good in anything else?
No.
Oh,
Moulin
well.
Rouge.
Do you think he's
no.
good in that?
No.
Right, okay. No. Try again.
Yeah.
Amanda,
Amanda, help me out here. Yeah.
hey, he's going to need some help.
Mm. It's a bit, isn't he? Really?
You know what annoyed the fuck out of me is he played an American. I think he played an American in Black Hawk Down.
Yes, he did. With
And I was like-
with Ewan Bremner, with Spud. Both.
Oh,
doing
he was in there
American
too?
accents. Yes.
Yeah,
Like it's a Trainspotting reunion, and both of you can't do an accent.
yeah. Well, Ewan McGregor definitely couldn't do an accent. I was like, he's ruining the movie.
So, Shallow Grave is a better film than this because it's got Christopher Eccleston in it, and Christopher Eccleston is head and shoulders better than anyone in this film. Brastoff, Pete Postlethwaite, he was in Velvet Goldmine. He then gets Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
He's good in Brastoff as well, actually. But I should have said that for more credibility than Moulin Rouge, and I now appreciate that fact. But Brastoff's a good film. He's good in that.
Right, recent things. It was the Cricket Pinocchio. It was in the Fargo TV series. It was in the Christopher Robin thing, which was all right.
Horrid.
It was. I mean, the film was all right. He wasn't. But then you've got
he's just awful.
Obi-Wan, and then you've got the series Obi-Wan, which I refuse to watch.
Well, can we just have a bit of a deep dive into the Star Wars thing? Because I'm not that bothered about the whole franchise, which I know is controversial around here. But I haven't really got a strong opinion on it. But betting you
I'll hand over to Joe.
Just roll up our sleeves and hear your view on Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
Well, I hated the prequels, and he didn't help. Like, again, he didn't do much in the first one, but then he was Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I guess we had a history of who Obi-Wan Kenobi was due to seeing Alec Guinness, like in the original trilogy. And those are pretty big shoes to fill. And I hated the fact that he basically took what Alec Guinness had said when you first see him. He says, "Hello there," and then he tries to do it, and he's like, "Hello there," and he always does it. He's done it in I think he did it in Obi-Wan. He's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. They could have picked so many better actors to portray him. And again, like we mostly knew, like when they announced the cast for The Phantom Menace, which was a big deal because we hadn't seen Star Wars in a long time. And then all of a sudden they said, well, Ewan McGregor is going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we're like, who's that? Who's that? Who is in Trainspotting? And I was like, okay, I heard that movie was good. That's good. But after seeing him for 3 movies, I just think he's awful. And I hate the fact that they're giving him a second chance by giving him a series to be in. Again, he's still awful. And I hate the fact that he cheated on his wife with, what's that girl?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And I used to like her too. And I can't stand the two of them now because he keeps, now that he's back in the Star Wars franchise, he brings his girlfriend into it, and she plays a part in Ahsoka. I just don't like them. I wish they would vanish from the face of the earth, but they're not going to. Sorry.
Oh, don't hold back, Joe. Say what you really think. I will go one further. If he didn't do Star Wars, he would have disappeared to obscurity, because even though he did Star Wars, look at his choices. He does some absolute belting choices. The Island with Scarlett Johansson. Anybody tell me what that's about?
I didn't see it.
I vaguely watched it, and it went in one ear, it went straight out the other. A Million Ways to Die in the West, the Seth MacFarlane thing that went nowhere. Bomb. Mordecai with Johnny Depp. Bomb. Fargo, the TV series. Okay. And now he's Obi-Wan again, and he was the voice of the cricket in the Tom Hanks's Pinocchio. Tell me, if he didn't get Star Wars, he would have just disappeared.
He'd have been doing heroin.
In real life.
Well, all right, but all right, to stick up for him, the case for the defense, he is good in this film. Can we all agree on that?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yes. Who's
Good.
slightly
Well,
gritted teeth. Yeah.
Amanda,
He's better in Shallow Grave.
What do you think of the kind of heroin chic, gaunt-faced, youthful Ewan McGregor? Charismatic leading man, carries the film.
What do you mean? What do I think? As in, is he attractive
looks
or not?
wise, but his overall performance and things.
The performance is good. I don't like him as a character as such. I think he's very selfish as a character, and we can talk about that a bit more. But no, I haven't got the hots for him. I'm sorry. In anything that he's done, I've never fancied you, McGregor. No.
More of a Johnny Lee Miller gal, hey?
Wow. I didn't, but watching the film, yeah, probably.
The fact that he goes around. Have you seen how he dresses now? He dresses like Darkman. He's got this huge, like, sort of like witch's cap thing, and a big, like, long trench coat, and it's just like, you're fooling no one, mate. You're rubbish.
Fooling no one, mate.
Yeah. So
I just think, again, I think that a lot of these actors I'm not familiar with at all, and I think that you have to credit Danny Boyle for getting the best out of his actors, because after Danny Boyle, Ewan McGregor again went on to not do much. I didn't think he just was like a B, maybe a C actor. He got cast in a lot of movies, but it just kind of showed that he doesn't have acting chops. He needs somebody good to direct him. And even though Ridley Scott directed him in Black Hawk Down, that didn't help matters. I mean, not that Ridley Scott is perfect, but yeah, I think
you might have hit the nail on the head, Joe.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a good actor. I think it's just, yeah, that might be it. And if you're not a good actor, you're not going to bring charisma or a good performance, and that's probably why we're looking down these list of films and going, yeah, he's not a draw, should we say? Should we move on to the next one? Because we've got to keep this nice and like a crocodile sandwich, nice and snappy. Ewan Bremner, Spud. So he was in Black Hawk Down again, as you don't remember, but he was also in the atrocious Pearl Harbor. Talk about picking bad movies. Is this like a thing? Did they all get together and just say, let's pick some real stinkers? But stop the press. He was in Aliens versus Predator. Yes. Let me say that again. Aliens versus Predator. I can't remember what he is. I can't remember what it is because it's a dreadful film, so I have no intention of going and rewatching it. But he also played the sniper in Wonder Woman. That's about it.
He was awful in that.
It's in the third choice of 2000 technically, but made in '99. The other film, iconic British film of the decade, is in Snatch, isn't he? So when you raised Lock, Stock earlier, that is the alternative to Trainspotting, is the kind of 1990s film. You're looking at me like when I commented. I did put my foot in it with a person. I'm just going to Google him.
I don't think he's in Snatch, but it's fine.
He is. He plays. Thank God for that. Yeah. Good old Wikipedia backs me up here. He played Mullet in Snatch.
Was he?
I'm sure you remember. He's the dim-witted mullet who added a dark layer of British humour to that film.
That doesn't tell me anything. I don't know who he is.
Was he in Brad Pitt's Caravan?
Yes, he definitely. Let's just say yes, he definitely was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. that's hardly BAFTA award-winning. Yes, I'm the guy. I'm the third on the left in the Caravan.
You've got some cheek for criticising other people's obscure film references here. There have been times when you've gone so far down that rabbit hole, Charlie. I thought we might have hit the molten core of the earth, but yeah, I'm just googling him now. I think we'll all remember. We'll put a link to it in the.
Yeah, we'll put a link to obscure. Jason Fleming was also in the Caravan with Brad Pitt, and he was great in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
So he's like an actor that speaks English, but you can't understand what he's saying. Is that his spiel?
I'd say yeah, because he was like that in Wonder Woman, really, wasn't he? He was just a bit unintelligible.
If you Google Snatch mullet, by the way, careful what you Google.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Whoa. So, yeah. Glad I'm not using this on my work laptop, but crikey. Talk about going down a rabbit hole.
Well, not just a rabbit hole.
Just a hole in general.
Holes.
Well, what's mullet over there?
Well, it's
mullet is Billy Ray Cyrus thing.
A style of topiary, it would appear, for
the less discerning gentleman. Yes. Right, let's move on. Johnny Lee Miller. Now, here's somebody that you think's done loads of stuff. He really hasn't. I did use his name on here, so obviously people who are listening won't be able to know, but on YouTube we all pick names for each other. I'm Zero Cool. That's his role. It was in Hackers 2 years before this with Angelina Jolie. And that's where a lot of people remember him from, not Trainspotting. I think, Joe, probably if you put his face up in America, they go, oh yeah, it's the guy from Hackers. Because they remember that a little bit more than they do Trainspotting.
Yeah, you could put his face up next to, who's that guy you always like? I keep forgetting his name.
Eric Stoltz, Andrew McCarthy. James Spader.
There you go. Yeah, no one would know who he is.
No contest. Whoa. Right.
Well, hang on.
Hackers. Who's seen Hackers?
Oh, me, plenty of times.
But in this country, I'm pretty sure like 0.5 people of this population might have seen.
There's a
Hackers.
Comic-Con thing. They love it.
Oh,
They dress
really?
up. Yes.
Comic-Con? Who do they
Yes.
dress up as?
As the team. You got
Maybe over there.
acid burn, Zero Cool. Yeah.
Not in your Comic-Con. They get their
in my Comic-Con is Howard the Duck and an alternative Back to the Future. That's in my Comic-Con. But anyway, John Lee Miller. Let's just skip. Look.
We're not
series
skipping
Elementary.
We're not skipping on without mentioning the fact that he was, I think, married to Angelina Jolie.
Yes, he was.
Was he really?
Yeah. Well, hats off to the guy. Unbelievable. That just deserves a moment, I think, don't you?
It does deserve a moment of recognition.
Can you imagine?
A lot.
Can you imagine what they go up to? That's all I'm saying. Wow.
Well, yeah. Elementary with Lucy Liu.
Oh, that got skipped over a bit quite faster than I was hoping.
Well, I've got nothing else.
We're not going to pontificate on his sex life with Angelina Jolie, then. No, that's out of bounds for this podcast.
We can put that in the separate podcast when you and I go against it for lauding Britpop as the saving grace of music. Yeah,
I might write some erotic fan fiction, and we could perhaps link to it in the pod listings. What do you think? Yeah,
we'll take this offline. That's
that
fine.
Floats your boat, babe. Do it.
Yeah. Robert Carlyle. Right. Okay. Wait a minute. So before anybody says anything, Amanda, tell me another role that you like Robert Carlyle in.
Oh, he was in
Only British people will get this. Get that.
Yeah, he was in
Mary Poppins?
No. I forgot the name of the movie. Oh my
Full
god.
Monty.
The Full Monty. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, the Full Monty.
Wow. Joe, what Bond film was he in?
Oh, I don't know.
He played Renard in The World Is Not Enough. A guy that could feel no pain.
I did see. Oh, that was him with his head shaved.
Yeah.
Oh wow. He was it Rumpelstiltskin in
Once Upon a Time? Yes.
Once Upon a Time.
Loads. There's so many episodes of that. Ridiculous. Over here, he was famous for Hamish Macbeth. I never watched it.
No, I didn't watch it either.
Watch anything Scottish apart from Ramsay Nesbitt.
Who was it? Oh no, it's okay. I'm off on a tangent.
I did wonder whether we'd get through the pod without touching on your xenophobia towards the Scots, Charlie. But you've
I've been to Scotland. I've been to Scotland. I've been to the Edinburgh Festival, and my friend got their drink spiked and nearly raped. So my experience of Scotland is that happened in Edinburgh, and then going out with someone who dragged us up to Aviemore, and I've never experienced cold like that in my entire life. And I was just like, thank God there's a fire here, because if there wasn't, we would freeze to death. So yeah, I do have a slightly jaded view of Scotland.
That's hardly the fault of Scotland, is it?
Yeah.
I went to the Edinburgh Festival for a Hindu, and it was in actually just before Trainspotting came out. In fact, it might have been the year Trainspotting. It was 96.
Do you want to rewatch it to see whether or not Amanda's in the background with the hen party? Right, maybe.
I had quite a nice time. I met some lovely Scottish people. I met a guy who took a shine to me. He was in a wheelchair, but he was an artist and did his own comics. And we'd been to see at the Fringe Festival. Did you ever hear, it was when Chris Evans was on Radio 1 DJing at the time. Did you ever hear of a play called Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens?
No.
Oh my God, it was unreal, and it was like a sellout at the festival, and it actually went on tour. We actually got tickets because one of the girls, well, the bride to be, one of her friends was actually in the play itself, so we got kind of special seats and stuff. It was wow cool. Anyway, I spoke to this guy that did all the graphics and comics, and he actually drew me in the comic as a space vixen.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be funny if this story came full circle and Charlie chinned him at an Iggy Pop festival in Brussels 10 years later? That'd be
we can arrange that. That's fine. Yeah.
No, he was a lovely guy. He wanted to keep up like pen friending me, should we say? But it was inappropriate. Yeah, it was inappropriate at the
Yeah.
time because I was with my ex.
Did your drink taste funny, by the way?
No, my drink tasted great.
Okay.
Edinburgh's a great city, so I'd live in Edinburgh. No questions asked. Brilliant place to live and
Okay,
visit.
You can
Yeah,
take
well,
my you
absolutely.
can take my space. It's fine.
Did you
Right,
guys
well,
ever
we're
see
not-
that series, Still Game? Did you ever hear of it?
Who?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
It's a Scottish comedy series.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like hard to understand what they're saying, but
Oh,
I mean,
you
that's
don't
a-
want to watch Rapsy Nesbit then?
Yeah, but that's good.
That's Glaswegian,
And,
isn't it?
and absolutely on Channel 4, that was really good. Stony Bridge. Yeah, absolutely.
Who had 40 minutes in for the accents to start, but we're not moving off Robert Carlyle without discussing two things.
Oh, go on.
28 weeks later, quality film, not not as good as
Yeah.
28 days later, but that's a great zombie franchise. I did hear from somebody that they're making 28 years later as well, like as a third part of the
yeah, I
film.
heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there to watch it. To see Charlie shaking his head, but
He's
also
your marketer's dream.
I like zombie films. I went to, as you three know, Hellraiser this weekend to rewatch that. But anyway, the other thing about Robert Carlyle I want to mention is Cracker. I don't know, it's maybe a bit obscure these days, but it was a
yeah.
police
forgot about that,
procedural drama with Robbie Coltrane, the guy who played Hagrid, in the lead role as a hard-drinking, fast-living, overweight detective. And there's a two-part episode where Robert Carlyle, without any spoilers, plays the criminal in the thing, and it's just such a brilliant performance. He plays a Liverpool fan, shaved hair. It's all to do with the Hillsborough disaster, and it's such compelling TV. So honestly, if any of our listeners out there are wanting a real dose of quality TV from the time, British TV, then that double episode of Cracker starring Robbie
Cracker was
Coltrane.
a good series. I used
Yeah,
to,
good shout.
Like,
Yeah, good shout.
enjoy is the wrong word, but I used to look forward to watching that.
And I would say that Robert Carlyle is the standout actor. We've discussed the limitations of some of the others already, but I'm also a Kelly MacDonald fan, so maybe that can
Are you?
to her.
Yeah, you and I are going to fall out
that,
in a
Cole?
minute. Yeah. Okay.
Well, she's beautiful in this. Go on, Charlie. You introduce.
No. Well, I'll just finish off Robert Carlyle, and then we will talk about Kelly MacDonald.
You'll finish him off, will you?
I will
Say
try my
it, Tim.
best.
Yeah.
Try my best. The beach. He was in Stargate, SGU, and then the appallingly but entirely predictable Disney remake of the Full Monty via a TV series. Again, nobody asked for it, and nobody watched it.
Was
So,
he the one that got kicked out? Didn't one of them get kicked out because?
because they had the wrong views or something. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it's
yeah.
Disney, isn't it? I mean, you've got to follow the line,
Yeah.
otherwise you don't do it. Anyway, Kelly MacDonald can't act. There, I'll start with that.
She's got a nice voice, though. I like her accent.
She's got a beautiful voice. She, without it sounding too sleazy, because I don't mean it in a sleazy way, she is beautiful in this film. I know she's playing a schoolgirl. It's problematic, but just for the record, she is 19 when she made this film. So
Oh, she was okay.
That makes
all
you
of
feel
it.
sorry. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
you feel
she
better.
plays a
Right.
14-year-old, but she's
Yeah,
actually 19.
not admiring her for those qualities, but I think she's beautiful. I think she's really good in this, and I think she is a good actress. I think she did the TV series Boardwalk Empire. Don't know if any of you saw that with.
No.
Or is it
Steve
Steve
Buscemi.
Buscemi she was
Steve
playing it out?
Buscemi.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
didn't see
she's
it.
excellent in that. Really, really good. She's in No Country for Old Men as well. That's a brilliant film. If we ever go into the 2000s, let's get ahead of ourselves, and that's
That
gonna be
is a
one of my
brilliant film,
choices.
but not because of her.
She's in Gosford Park.
Uh-huh.
I just,
Which you've just watched, haven't you?
yeah, she's
Recently.
good in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the period dramas, don't you?
I love the period dramas. I
Yeah,
don't know
listeners,
why.
in case you're not aware of this, Joe is a British period drama fan. So who
I
knew?
am.
Is it the heaving chests and the cleavage and the corsets, Joe?
No, I just find it fascinating. It was like almost like slavery there, but you got paid.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
No wonder Joe was disappointed when he saw the reality of modern Britain with Trainspotting. If you're used to Downton Abbey and Gosforth Park.
Yeah. That it's not all
Yeah.
Hampton Court Palace. She was also in State of Play. She played Helena Ravenclaw in the final Harry Potter film. She was the voice of Merida in Brave. And
Yeah, I
she was,
noticed that. Yeah, I'm a
Was
big.
she? I
was.
didn't know that.
Yes.
Shell's got a beautiful voice, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, the voice is perfect in Brave. Absolutely perfect.
Originally, the person that was doing the voice was who's that one? She was in Legally Blonde.
Oh, Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah, she was supposed to be Merida, and for some reason they she left, and
not Scottish.
Jeanette MacDonald. Yeah, thank God because I thought she was probably one of the saving graces of that movie. She had such a great accent.
Okay, we've done the main ones. Can we just skip through some of the others? Because I did like some of the things that I found about some of the other actors in this.
Let's do Tommy briefly, because he gets stitched up here. He was, his agent made him busy on the day that they shot that iconic poster. Everybody else's career took off. His died on its arse. I think that's the fact he wasn't on that poster.
Well, did it? Well, did it, Dom?
He was in a couple of good things, and an overlooked gem is what was that werewolf film called? Dog Soldiers. He's in Dog Soldiers, which
Dog Soldier.
For those of us who like our horrors, that's quite good.
He was in Brave as well. He played the voice of Lord MacGuffin in that. Joe, he was in Star Wars Rebels. He played the voice of Fen Rao. I haven't seen it.
Don't know who that is.
He was in Grey's Anatomy. 339 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
What?
Yeah, he's become a US citizen. That's basically now his life is Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. But the thing that surprised me the most, I play Call of Duty and I'm very good at it. But as part of that, one of the characters is called Soap McTavish. And I've followed this guy. I've followed the story and then the sequels and everything. And every time that he speaks, and that's him, his voice. He must earn a fortune out of replaying that. So I'm thinking, do you know what? I'll put him up against Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller. In fact, all of them apart from Ewan McGregor, who probably got a tidy sum for Obi-Wan. He's probably doing the best out of all of them money-wise. He's ka-ching. Yes, that's Call of Duty.
He's also in Rome, which is an underrated TV series, I thought, and the Christmas special of Father Ted, which is just a glorious thing in life. It's one of my happy things.
Have you seen any of that, Joe? Father Ted?
Oh.
Yeah, I never got into it.
That is
I sent you that clip when we did Speed, didn't I? When he was in the milk float. That's brilliant. He's got that device which is tuned in to such a degree of sensitivity you can hear a pin drop, and then the truck goes past the car and he's like dead in the back. Oh, that's brilliant. That's just me. You don't need to look at it on YouTube, viewers. I've just recreated it for you on
no, sure we'll link it. Peter Mulan, the guy, I don't know the character's name, who's in charge of the heroin house.
Superior.
Yeah. Ramsey Nesbitt, he was also in Shallow Grave. Children of Men with Clive Owen, not Clive Warren.
I get that.
Thank you, Joe. But I didn't realise he was in Ozark. And we watched Ozark. He was the husband and wife that owned the opium.
Yeah. Now you say it. Yeah.
It was him.
Oh, okay.
So all this time I was sitting there watching it, going, "Oh yeah, that's the guy from Trainspotting." James
He's
Cosmo,
really
who is Ewan McGregor's, who's Renton's dad. Well, if you want somebody to play somebody Scottish and brash, then yes, you get this guy. He was in Highlander. He played the Scottish guy in Stormy Monday, which is set up in Newcastle, starring Sting. He was in Braveheart. He was the voice. He was one of the voices in Babe 2, Pig in the City. Yes, and also probably the most famous thing he's known for is in Game of Thrones. I would say.
That's it. Yes,
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then finishing off roll call, Shirley Henderson, Spud's unfortunate girlfriend, should we say? Anybody want to take? I mean, you might have already looked. Anyone want to take a guess of what she's in? There's a trilogy of which she's definitely a part of it. Anyone? Eula?
Tell you.
Eula? Okay, so she's Bridget Jones's best friend. So she was in all three of them. Bridget Jones's Diary, the second one, and Bridget Jones's Baby.
Did you know that there's a Bridget Jones 4 coming out?
Again, I don't remember anyone asking for it, but fine. I'm sure it'll do middling things at the box office and then disappear onto streaming as soon as possible.
No, it's funny. I've seen this movie twice. So Spud's girlfriend, she's not the one with the baby, right?
No.
That's Sick Boy's girlfriend.
That's Sick Boy's,
yeah.
So who's Spud's girlfriend? I'm trying to think.
The one that tries to jump on him when he's
drunk. And
the bedspread.
The shit in the sheet.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's her, yeah.
Dark haired girl.
She was in 24-Hour Party People. She was Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter. Ghost. But Joe, what is she in Star Wars?
All right, now that you mentioned that she was Moaning Myrtle, I know she was also in that Laurel and Hardy movie with Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
So she's in Star Wars. Yes, I should know this.
She is the voice of
I don't know what.
Abu Frick in Rise of
Oh
Skywalker.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that was her when I heard about that. Okay.
Her career, unfortunately, just to finish on a final note, isn't going well. She was last seen in a animated film called Lovely Little Farm, where she played Quackity Duck Duck. So good luck to her. I'm sure she'll get better. When Bridget Jones's 4 comes out, great. Excellent. Right. That's the end of roll call. That's all that done. On to the film. The start of the film, then, I think we all agree, is the start of the film is iconic, really. How else do you start? I can't think of a better film from the 90s that has such a strong start, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it twice. What happened?
Well, you get the Choose Life. You get
They're all
running
running
down the street. Yeah.
All right,
okay, so
down
it's
the
just
street
basically.
away.
Yeah.
being chased by the
Okay.
coppers.
First few bars of Lust for Life come in. Oh, yes, definitely iconic. Whatever you think about the film, I think it is.
Where does this take place in Scotland? Do you know?
No, it's set in Edinburgh, but a lot of it was filmed in Glasgow in a disused cigarette warehouse.
I mean, is it like that in
No.
Glasgow and in Edinburgh?
There is a
Probably.
serious amount of poverty in Scotland because they blame England for
everything.
everything. But they've got their Scottish independence now, so don't know.
Well, they haven't.
Well, no, they haven't, but they've got the Scottish government, haven't they?
Sure, the
they've got
SNP
some kind of
fanatics.
control.
So Scotland is free, but Ireland is not, right? Or is it?
What do you mean free?
Scotland's not free. They're all free.
I don't know.
They were never prisoners, were they? You know,
They all
they're,
have their own governments.
Yeah, but they're not
I mean,
proper
I'd say-
Don't talk about Ireland, is all I'll say. Right, okay, let's steer away from
No,
Ireland.
I think this does
we get
include
really
that for our
controversial.
Well, it
nationalism.
confuses me. It's like, one of them is independent. I don't know which one it is, though. I
the only one that's independent is the Republic of Ireland, and that's been independent for over 100 years. But Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England that are
Okay.
part of the
They have a
United Kingdom.
devolved assemblies where they can make a lot of their own decisions.
They make some of their own sort of laws. So, for example, things like the NHS, so the National Health Service, there's sort of local legislation and different guidance for health and social wellness and healthcare, depending on whether you're in Scotland, England, Wales, or Ireland. So they all have their own quirks and different things. So yeah, it's all a bit luck of the
But things
draw.
like foreign policy and defence are retained by Westminster and London, and so that's centrally done. They don't have their own say. They don't have their own armies or anything like that.
Well,
Next month on Politics Now, we'll be discussing the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Good.
Oh,
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah.
but Joe,
in Wales, they've just like last year, they implemented a 20-mile-an-hour limit in all towns, cities, and villages. So you can only drive 20 miles an hour
Or
through.
old Wales.
Must be a lot of old people there.
No, apparently it's to reduce deaths on the road.
But you have more people waiting in queues and using their engines to not go over 30, not go over 20. It's a really hard thing to do when you're used to driving 30, and now you have to do that. So the emissions is going to be off the charts. They're going to kill loads more people. But politicians in general basically are pretty thick. So,
But Joe, to go back to your question about is that what Scotland's like, then the answer is no. But Edinburgh is a wealthy city, which is big tourist centre. It's beautiful, very kind of Hogwarts-esque. I think
Got a very old
J.K.
university
Rowling
as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, took inspiration from Harry Potter series from Edinburgh. Glasgow is the more kind of working class industrial neighbour. It's not far geographically. I was there, as you lot know, this week, and it's a controversial thing. So it's like a lot of northern British cities. So it's not dissimilar to Manchester or Liverpool to look at, I would say. just full of Scottish people. So, but I'm sure if you go to the estates and the tenements where these members of the fringes of society would live, then I'm sure it is a absolute shithole. But
is that like any city though? Even like London, Birmingham, Coventry, there's always areas of deprivation within cities. And yes, there are like schemes for reinvesting and regeneration, but you're always going to have areas and pockets in cities, towns, even in our town, there's pockets of
No, we have that too over here.
Aren't particularly nice, and you wouldn't want to go wandering around in the dark on your own.
Yeah, we've all seen The Wire and Breaking Bad, Joe, before you start to throw any stones at our greenhouse, yeah?
But I don't see any place that's as rampant with heroin as that movie, wherever it takes place.
Well, of course, it's not really heroin now, is it? It's spice. Spice is the drug of choice that'll get you completely off your tits and just...
Our resident drug expert.
Yeah, I never had it.
Terrible.
Well, in America, is it fentanyl and all that kind of prescription heroin and heroin derivatives? That's the drug of choice to all the trailer parks and things, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think fentanyl kills you. Like, it have a very high probability of you dying from it. I was just listening to something. I think Tom Petty died of that, and Prince.
Yeah, well, Prince mixed his drugs, didn't he? He was getting them prescriptions from all manners of sources and stuff. Not that I'm aware of that, but that's what I heard and that's what I read.
Checkered past.
I like the disclaimer, just in case anyone thought Amanda was linked to Prince's death in a more direct way, but no, not guilty. She's got an alibi.
Well, it's a bit like Michael Jackson, wasn't it? Supposedly, he had
Stop
a lot
digging,
of people...
Amanda. Stop digging. You've already said
we've done enough. The lawyers, yeah.
Supposedly, they had, a mix of prescription drugs. So,
I wonder if when they pumped Michael Jackson's stomach, what they found in there, eh? I'd hazard a guess at one or two substances that may have been in there.
I thought for a moment there, I thought you were going down a road, which I really didn't
so too.
want. Right, but we can't go down that road. Right,
hang on,
really
let's
can't.
lift it up. Was it Pepsi that he advertised, or was it Coca-Cola? I think it was Pepsi, wasn't it? Maybe some Pepsi in there.
It was Pepsi, yeah.
I saw weirdly on Instagram yesterday. I don't know what I was looking for, but I was scrolling through and it said this is how when Michael Jackson's hair got on fire. And I'd never seen the footage. And I'm like, he's sitting there, he's still singing, he's still dancing. Dude, your hair's on fire. And then suddenly his band come out and start smothering him. And then the security's in there. It looks like bloody Rocky IV. Like everyone's in there. And yeah. And I'm like, your hair was definitely on fire. It wasn't like a little tiny bit. It's like flaming. Anyway, back to this film. Could talk about Michael Jackson another time. I'm sure we will. This is the first act of 3. This is all the setting up, the exposition, and I think it does it well. I think it tells you who everybody is, and you've got the toilet scene. You've got all of these, some of the iconic. You've got Spud. I think is still in this part.
I think your criticism is valid. I think it is a 3-part, 3-act movie fairly blatantly, and doesn't try and shy away from that. And for me, the first act is the strongest. You have all the scenes that everybody remembers who's seen it before. They're pretty much all in this first third, which does mean it's an incredibly strong start. And I'm trying to think if you made me choose which would be my favourite, because I think that job interview that Spud failed spectacularly is pretty hilarious. The Bucky's toilet scene, grim as you like, that's there. But I do think the Begbie's introduction for me, if we're not rattling through it too quickly, when he's holding court at the pub table surrounded by empties and he's presented this view of how he'd taken on this battle at a pub, and then you obviously get the actual view on how it really did go down. And then it's all wrapped up when he just lobs that pint glass over his shoulder and just it goes downstairs for the punch-up. That's just brilliant. I think that would have to be my favourite part of this opening act, as you put it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just a pint glass that we have these days, which is, like this. It was a proper old man's jug.
Hard.
Heavy bottomed, yeah.
Heavy, handled, dimpled pint mug, basically, wasn't it?
That's not going to shatter on somebody's head.
Wow.
it's gonna leave a massive bruise, but that thing
Knock
is
you
a
out.
unless you put a bullet in it, it may go, but
Yeah, but any
probably
head
not.
injury like that's going to bleed like mad, isn't it? You know, it's
It didn't look like blood as well. That was the worst glassing injury I've ever seen. Looks like she spilt blackcurrant over her head. But but the scene itself was good. I'm just picking up on one thing. I know I'm not trying to.
I had a question about Big B. So was
Big
he?
B?
Is that what his name is?
Begbie.
Big B, whatever.
Big B, the biggest dog in the world. Yes.
Was he the only one that wasn't doing heroin?
Yes.
No, because Tommy wasn't at the time either.
Tommy wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, he was just like an alcoholic, wasn't he? Like a violent drunk.
It's quite funny because Begbie is actually taking the moral high ground, saying he wouldn't put that kind of shit in his body. Yet you see him chucking away at all his alcohol and smoking all his fags, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question about the book now? If you remember.
I don't remember too much about it. It was many, many, many years ago, but go on.
The whole thing is supposed to be, Danny Boyle says, Begbie's sexuality, Begbie's anger is because he doesn't want people to know he's homosexual.
He's a closet gay, yeah.
Yeah. So you get that scene where obviously you expect him to like go full on ballistic. I can't believe I've been fooled like this, and you're actually a dude, and start, laying in, and he doesn't.
Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah.
Just goes. Just leaves. And I think it's in the book. Isn't it slightly hints a little bit more?
I can't remember, babe.
Okay.
I've read the book as well, and I think it is more overt. It's not just a subtext. I think he's but I can't quite remember the details, but I think it's made more clear that he's closet homosexual.
The toilet, by the way, trivia fans, was made out of chocolate. All of that was chocolate. Apparently, Danny Boyle said it smelled lovely in there.
But it makes you want to retch, doesn't it? When you know that he's just had a shit in the toilet, and then he's got to go and retrieve those suppositories, the drugs.
It's not just his own crap either, is it? It's everybody else's. It's the worst.
But he comes out though, just like he's just splashed water on his face. Like, you should be covered in shit, mate. Yeah, and you're not. But still.
I do think it was a metaphorical journey into the toilet rather than a literal.
Yes, it wasn't. Obviously, he didn't disappear into the toilet. I mean,
shit them day.
Well, even if you reach in, you'd still be able to have some shit on your hands. Anyway, so we've got many bits in this first scene. We've got the Kelly MacDonald scene in the nightclub.
Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Because A, it's quite a good part of the film, but B, what do we all think of that then? So, Amanda, I'm turning to you as my moral arbiter on all these matters sexual, but
oh God,
do you think the fact that it's a 19-year-old playing a 14-year-old and the fact that she's revealed to be a schoolgirl the next day, is that problematic or not?
I don't suppose so. To be perfectly frank with you, I was 14 and I was going out kind of getting drunk in town. So yeah, there were pubs that we knew that we could go in. Obviously, when you're a 14-year-old girl, you can actually look older. You can't when you're a boy because you probably haven't kicked in your puberty at that point. But yeah, I was a very convincing 18-year-old at 14. I was quite tall.
It's not so much how she drinks that's controversial, though, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't very sexually active at 14. Well, I wasn't sexually active at all at 14. So I think from that perspective, she was probably, as we could probably say, a little bit fast. So yeah, and I don't think most girls at that age would have been allowed to have brought them back home to the parents' house. But it seemed a very bohemian house, really. So it was all a bit weird.
So you were going for drinks. You weren't going to hook up.
Oh, no. Just drinks. Yeah, just out with my mates.
Did you find the guys icky? Icky? The guys? Did you find the guys icky at 14?
No, not really. It was quite nice to get chatted up, but that's as far as.
So they did chat you up. Like, did they buy you drinks?
Yeah, a couple of times or so. It was a long time ago, But most of the guys that we would chat to, we knew from school anyway, because they were in the last year or the sixth form at school. So they were known to us. It wasn't like random strangers that we'd talk to, because we wouldn't really have done that.
You got to remember, Joe, the national drinking age is 18 in England, and back in the 90s, as long as you looked 16, it was fine. And yeah, if you could pass for 16 at being 14, then generally it was okay. There's always a pub in every small town that would serve you as long as you didn't cause bother, and the police generally turned a blind eye because you weren't on the streets causing mischief.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little factoid. Kelly MacDonald got the part when the production crew were handing out flyers across Glasgow for anyone eager to audition. So when Danny Boyle first laid eyes on her in a corridor with a plain hairdo surrounded by many glamorous girls, he knew that she was the one, apparently. He wanted someone that was unknown, so no one would guess a 19-year-old is playing a schoolgirl. And apparently she still has that promotional flyer at home. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm still reeling from the fact I forgot that it was 14 that you went out. I know that I went to my first nightclub when I was 13 and was drinking sort of because it was at home. But I'm like thinking of Amy turning around and saying, wait, I'm going out. No. I'm going out for a Christmas party. So, okay, see you later. I'll get a taxi. It's all right. I'll get an Uber home. I won't have too much.
Yeah, welcome to my world. Yeah, my eldest is 16. Chance. But let's look forward to that chance. The sleepless nights.
Was she going out at 16?
Yeah, in a controlled way. But yeah.
I think it challenged 25 and all this sort of stuff.
She's not going to get away with it. As far as I know, she's not going to bars, but house parties. I think it's a different generation. What the stuff we got up to in the 90s, maybe with a few exceptions, it's not like that anymore. People are more strict on licensing laws, I think. There's more consequences if the bars and places get caught. But I think, it's not. The data shows kids just drinking as much as they used to anymore. So
preloading now. Do you know what preloading is, Joe?
No, it's preloading.
Preloading, right?
No.
So if I went out if I was a ute, as Joe Pesci would say, or student, why am I going out and paying potentially £5-6 a pint when I can preload and then go out to the club at half 12 at night?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So now you find the streets are pretty certainly. I mean, when I went back to Oswestry, which is where I started drinking at a very early age, I was walking down the high street and there was nobody around. There wasn't just a couple of people. There was nobody around. And I went, where the hell is everyone? He said, no, they don't come out till like 12. And I'm like, but we were, in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, it was crossing. You had to queue up to get into places. And you're like, I guess these things just change, really. But I couldn't imagine life without the pub, without somewhere. I've got my own little ray of sunshine that I go and sit at in Leamington.
Yeah, but the age group that are there, it's all your age group, and
it's not really. There's a lot of
Joe, if you ever make
it is in the pubs and the bars, because we're the ones that have got the most cash. Students don't have any money, do they?
Joe, if you make it over to England, we'll give you a proper tour of British pub culture, from the real spit and sawdust entry-level stuff, where as a solo American you might get beaten up in the toilets, like we saw in this film, through to
We'll do our best, mate, but I mean, we can't guarantee anything.
I'll take a gun with me.
I think the best pubs in Britain are the pubs in the Yorkshire Dales, and we could do a little pub crawl of those. That'd be a happy day well spent.
And I'll take you to Birmingham. I'll take you on. There's so many different pub crawls you can do. That'd be great. But anyway, so moving things along. So the first part of it is the drug taking. I know that obviously it was a prosthetic arm that was created when you see the scenes of the needle going in. It was quite good because they created one that had pulsing veins, smack tracks.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And pockets of blood. So when you actually punctured it, it looked like the blood was coming out.
Well, I didn't think that they were actually injecting the arm with heroin. I just thought that, again, it was like almost like taking blood, from somebody, where they stick the needle in and then they show a close up of the vial and all that. But that's interesting.
So as we move into the sort of the middle scene, then we start getting, we obviously we have just as memorable, but probably for the wrong reasons. Your favourite scene, Joe, which is the baby. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's the start. Personally, I thought the most horrendous bit is where the baby is in the same room while they're doing drugs. I found that quite hard to take. I also found it hard to take that when the baby was found to be died, and you just saw that image. I don't know which image you were talking about before we came.
No, that's the one I was talking about. But
that's pretty.
No, that's. I have a question about though. That, when you see the baby in the crib. So did it die because he was getting breast milk from the mother?
It was neglect.
Was it neglect, or it was just that he was getting all the junk in him?
It was just neglect. Just wasn't looked after.
The voiceover was. We don't know if she's been crying for an hour, a day, or weeks. I mean,
she just got high and was out of it. So the baby probably died of starvation, feces.
Oh God, it's horrendous.
Just not looked after at all. Just complete.
Okay. Well, that actually is a
neglect.
Little better for me because I thought that it died because the mother was so full of smack that when she was breastfeeding it, that it got into the baby's system, and because I saw a lot of purple, and I was like, ugh.
Well, that's because it was dead.
Right, yeah.
Well, the baby did die because the mother was full of smack in a way, but just not directly because passed on to the kid. But I thought when you were talking earlier, Jay, you meant that scene where the baby's crawling on the ceiling. That was the one that really disturbed you, because I thought that was probably not a very effective scene in my view.
No, it was laughable. I thought. Okay,
artificial.
It didn't look right. Was that supposed to be what's his name? Sick Boy's face on the baby when he was crawling?
It was Sick Boy's baby.
No, but when he's crawling on the ceiling and his head turns around, like The Exorcist, you see a face. Is that Sick Boy's face on that baby?
I don't think it's the baby's face. Supposed to be.
I don't think it was the baby's face.
That's an interesting comment. I hadn't realised, but yeah, when you say that, it sounds plausible because it was so strange that maybe they tried to do that effect. But I thought it failed.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So obviously we have the locking him in his room and having to come down, but at this point we also get probably the crisscross, I would say, between Renton cleaning himself up and Tommy disappearing into the void. So we get this crossover at this point.
Well, the reason why it all started, though, wasn't it? It was because Renton. This is why I was saying Renton was very selfish as a person. Renton found Tommy's and his girlfriend's home porn video of them basically having sex, hid it in a different video case, and then said, "Oh, can I borrow this?" And he went, "Yeah, no problems." It was some like 100 best goals of something or other, and took the home movie out, and that was the start of the deterioration of his relationship with his girlfriend, and effectively they split up, which led to his spiraling downfall, and he was just so depressed because she wouldn't come back to him that he just said, "Well, I'm an adult, aren't I? It's an adult decision. I'll just take a hit and then I'll just forget about everything." But what happened was, by doing that, he then contracted HIV, became HIV positive, and then no one visited him. He was disregarded. He was recluse in a vain attempt to try and get his relationship back on track. He bought a kitten, and then eventually died of, is it toxoplasmosis or something? Where
toxic cat syndrome.
No, it's the toxicity from the cat feces, basically.
Died of a dirty pussy. That's what I say.
God.
Actually, I thought he was having sex with the cat. I thought he had sex with the cat. I did. That's what killed him.
But that to me is the most heartbreaking of all the characters, because out of Renton's selfishness, it led to a chain of events that actually led to Tommy dying. And although it was Tommy's choice at the end of the day, I as a character, I can't forgive Renton for what he did. I just think it was awful. what he did.
Well, I think they were all scumbags, and I didn't care that he died. And when I think about it too, even with the baby dying, you knew that baby was going to be a piece of shit once it became a teenager. So, I'm fine with that too. Now that I think about it.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's a bit harsh.
Well, do you think that that kid was going to have a good life? Do you think that he was going to be just like his parents?
It wouldn't have had a good life if it had made it. But there's no preconceived idea that it would have turned out a shit person.
I think you're probably right, Joe. I mean,
know.
you're full of relief now because the baby only died of neglect rather than something else. So
yeah, now I'm a little bit relieved. Yeah.
I think Amanda's right there. I mean, Tommy's descent. While I'm rewatching this film, that was darker and pulled fewer punches than I'd remembered it from the first time round, and I thought it was quite sobering, really. Particularly if you think about the last couple of films we watched, Pulp Fiction and Basic Instinct, which I think basically glamorized drug use, cocaine, heroin, different drugs. But actually, there was a bit of heroin use in Pulp Fiction too, wasn't there? But this shows you the reality of it, and the defining characteristics of addicts, I would say, is selfishness. And I thought it, again, quite a brave decision by the filmmaker just to show it's like a casual act of selfishness, just one of many selfish things that he does, whether it's stealing money from his parents or stitching up his friends, in this case, inadvertently, but nevertheless specifically triggering this series of events that his friend died. And actually, how upset were really and affected were they by this death anyway? Barely at all. So just stark realities of drug use and its effect on families and society.
Was that during the funeral? Was that Big B in front of them where he told them to shut up because they were talking? They were at the funeral. And I think that, Ewan McGregor's character and some other guy were explaining what happened to him. And then some guy turned around and said, shut up. And he had a mustache, or he said, that wasn't
like, was that Big B or?
I think it was, but it was just kind of weird. Go ahead.
It's interesting. I think the point there, Joe, was the fact that Renton, Ewan McGregor's character, wasn't even aware that he'd led, he was just kind of being filled in on the news, whereas actually he was the catalyst behind the whole thing anyway, and just showed just how purely oblivious and selfish he was to all these things that he'd created.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving into the final act, then Begbie he gets his act together. He becomes an estate agent. He moves to London.
Oh, Begbie doesn't. Renton
does, yeah, and then Begbie comes and visits him because he's on the run.
Begbie goes and steals stuff, doesn't he?
Stuff, and then he's
on the run, isn't he?
Yeah. So this is where I think it starts falling down a little bit. I just think it's the Begbie staying with him stuff is just annoying after a while, and then then you get the thing about the drugs, then you get the deal, then you get the deal, and then the steal. And I don't know. I just think that this is where you could switch it off, I think, pretty much after the funeral.
Well, look, my comment on that, and I understand why you say that. I think probably, but it's not a story in a traditional sense of a narrative, a beginning, a middle, and an end. When we talk about having 3 acts, it's just 3 snapshots of this particular period of their life. You could have started the film earlier and seen their schoolboy years. You could have carried the film on later into their adult life, and that's partly what T2 does as well. So the fact that it kind of is unresolved and actually, the heist and things itself only involved £16,000, we're not talking multi-million life-changing amounts of money here, is in keeping, I think, with the kind of low rent, seedy, sleazy nature, 2-bit nature. When Keith Allen is in a film that makes you look small fry, that's when you've got a problem, really. And so for me, I think if it's a glimpse into the lives of these individuals, then it's more valid. If it was a story, then yes, it would be a bit of perhaps a end on a whimper. So I'd encourage you to view it that way, perhaps.
Okay, maybe. When they were making the deal and they had to test it, not when Renton had to take it, but where Keith Allen brought the guy with him, they went off into the room. Keith Allen comes out and goes, "Yeah, I think we've got a deal," and then negotiates and then leaves. And then they all celebrate and is the guy dead? I mean, what's going on? The guy's still in the room. I thought, are we ever going to see him come out?
That's just an adjoining room, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was dead.
Oh, okay.
I did have a question though, like when they were before the court and Spud got sentenced for 6 months, And then what is his name? Rent Boy or whatever the hell. He ends up he avoids it by going into, I guess, a clinic or, rehab or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he ends up getting high anyway.
Yeah.
And then they have to.
That's the state of the rehabilitation system. You're only given, I think it was 3 doses of it's not morphine,
methadone.
is it? It's something else. What's it
Methadone.
called? Methadone. And it doesn't last long enough. The hit doesn't last long enough to get them off. So what you end up with is people then taking the methadone but still needing further hits to get that high to take the place where it's not even taking the place. You just end up with junkies that are hooked on methadone and junk, basically.
But
So
he
it
hadn't
doesn't
started rehab
work.
at that point.
Hey?
He hadn't started rehab at that point. It was like almost, wasn't it? Was like I'm
No, he
gonna
had, because he said at the point, he said, oh, I was given the 3 shots of methadone, but I took them all at the same time, and now I need another hit. So he then goes off and gets the drugs again.
Oh, okay. But once he's in the hospital, wouldn't they have identified, to the court that he's in the hospital? We had to, help him because he had heroin in his system. What's that? No, they don't do that. I don't think
it would have been as joined up as that.
I think it would be over here.
Maybe it's a bit more these days with computers being a bit more advanced, but this is 96, isn't it? It's still not widespread. And yeah, let's be honest, the ailing NHS and drug treatment things in the court system, there's far too many opportunities for stuff to fall through the gaps there, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I think it comes back, if we talk about rehabilitation, just to touch on that subject, it's getting a bit serious now, but rehabilitation, you've got to tackle the root cause. You can't just substitute one drug for another. You have to tackle the root cause as to the why they're on the drugs in the first place. And there's a whole heap of stuff. I know, for Charles and I, we've had discussions about this, and you'll say, actually, it's just a choice. Do I or don't I? But I think sometimes there's a lot of other factors that are involved in that. And it could be socio-economic. It could be how you've been brought up. Whole host of stuff. It could be depression, whatever. But, getting to that rehab state is a very fine line. And I think it doesn't work for everybody, because I think that the motives behind going into rehab are very different for people.
Yeah. Well, for him, it was purely to avoid prison, wasn't it? That was his sole motivation. Yeah.
But they weren't very... I don't know. They weren't very forgiving about Spud going to prison, were they? They weren't very sad about it, and yet you see his mum walk into the pub. I know it was probably an inopportune moment when they were all having a bit of a laugh, but I felt so sorry for her, because Begbie accused her of being the reason why Spud was a drug addict.
No, he was. No. He accused her of, being the contributing factor in this, and he's entirely right.
I feel he's right too.
I agree with the man. He blamed her, and that was, and you felt her pain at that. Of course she has a role in it, but is it her fault? Is she to blame? I think not.
Wow.
I think there was a lot of factors involved, to be honest. And if you haven't got job prospects, you're not in a very socio-economically affluent area, shall we say.
But he didn't want a job, though. That's why he kind of fucked up his interview, so he could stay on the doll.
That's right.
The doll. I love it.
The doll.
The doll. Social.
We don't have that over here.
Do you not?
Pissed.
Yeah, you call it welfare.
I guess, yeah, maybe it's welfare, yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'd put she's a steaming alcoholic, and probably growing up in that environment didn't help him one bit. So I guess probably all eyes on me when the final summing up. Have I changed my score?
No, hang on. About the stealing of the money.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Again,
we're just moving it along a little bit.
Renton displays such selfishness again, apart from leaving a couple of grand for Spud. And you're just like,
That I think is more defendable though, because as he says in the film, the sick boy would have done it if any thought of it first. He didn't give a shit about Begbie for all the obvious reasons. He wouldn't care about a violent psychopath like him. So Spud was the only one he cared about. I thought that was probably a bit more valid than it just his general low-level selfishness with which he lives his life.
I don't know.
I think he was selfish throughout the whole movie, like you were saying. And he, again, that's why it pissed me off that he didn't get hit by a bus or something when he was running.
Well, we can always edit it in, Joe. You know, we can put in a bus scene. We can put in something from Speed, bring it all together, advertise the podcast at the same time. Oh, great.
Yeah.
So,
a bit of screeching.
Another factoid. Do you remember when they were playing football?
Yes.
So the football team that they were playing against were actually the people that they were at a proper football team who were made up of recovering drug addicts. So they were the source of information when they were doing research into characters of the film, and understanding how drugs affected the body, how it made you act, the selfish nature of drug taking, etc. So it was actually nice to see them being involved in the film, and you could actually see who that they were. But you wouldn't have known that unless you've kind of read up on trivia and stuff.
Okay.
Another factoid.
Oh,
I'm full of them.
I never know when to chip in, but yes,
I know.
go for it.
Right, okay. In the film, Jolly Lee Mirror's character Sick Boy is a major 007 fan, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So the actor actually has family ties to James Bond. His grandfather was Bernard Lee, the original M.
Oh yeah,
that is good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Although I did think Sick Boy's quoting of Sean Connery lines was just a blatant rip-off of Tarantino, which went a step too far, to be honest. But still, that is a good bit of trivia.
And then last bit of factoids.
Okay.
Danny Boyle told all the actors basically to prepare, and he told them to watch older movies about rebellious youths like The Hustler in 1961, The Exorcist in 1973, and A Clockwork Orange in 1971. So apparently in Clockwork Orange, its homage is the scene set in Volcano nightclub, which is very similar to that in the Milk Bar in the film. So the track playing in the Volcano Club is By Heaven 17, who took their name from A Clockwork Orange.
Oh wow, that's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah.
Thumbs up emoji. Yeah.
Definitely. Rebellious youths in The Exorcist. She didn't have
I was going to say that too.
She didn't have much choice, really. She was possessed. But yes, that's what you're going to rebel if you've got a spirit inside you.
Speaking of A Clockwork Orange, it did remind me a lot of A Clockwork Orange too.
Okay, high praise indeed.
There's scenes in the film as well that depict some Beatle-esque moments, isn't there? When they're running down the road.
Yeah. They're crossing
when
the
they're
street.
crossing the street. And then there's something else as well. I can't remember what it was. But there's something else. But yeah.
What a great so
is it changed your mind then, Charles?
No, 6 still. No, I think 6 is naturally where it should fit. It's not a bad film. It's just overrated. That's all. And if we do Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, I guarantee you won't be a 6.
Well, maybe we should. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me if it turned up in this season at some point. Hey, listeners.
Well, speaking of turning up in this season, it's my choice next.
No, is it?
Or is it? Because we've had some nice user, listener, watcher, viewer interaction, which I think is great. And in general, I think that the recent stats we've had are only going in one direction, and it's really good, and it's going up, and we're seeing more people listen, we're seeing more people interact, more people are chatting on YouTube. If you're listening on audio, by all means, come over and watch on YouTube, even if it's just to chat and to put something in there and get involved in the conversation, because that seems to be where it's happening, please do. And thank you to everyone that's like and subscribe. If you're watching it, like and subscribe every time. We'd really appreciate it.
Tell your mates.
Tell your mates, yeah. Tell them down the
You've got
bingo. Tell them wherever you see anybody. Tell them in the butcher's queue, wherever. It's fine. But so we've had listener requests, and I shall now hand over to Dom, who'll tell us what his friend Fran has proposed.
Yeah, well, this is another Frankie, as she's known, but not Joe's nephew again. This is Frankie that I know, who's going to be watching this pod, I know, from Dubai. And she is slightly younger than we are, so she is one of these people who consumes it on newfangled technology such as YouTube, rather than just pure audio all the way like me. So she'll be looking at these beautiful visages at some point in the next couple of days when you upload it, Charlie. But yeah, all the way from Dubai, Frankie has requested The Truman Show, which I think is a fantastic choice because it's a, spoiler alert, good film, but also a really interesting and original premise. And I know that at least Amanda hasn't seen it before,
I've
so
not
it'll be
seen it, no.
popping a cherry to The Truman Show, and I think you'll enjoy it because it's.
Well, I don't know if it's got Jim Carrey in it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you got big anti-Jim Carrey sentiment in some quarters on this pod, but it's thought-provoking. If we've managed to spend this time talking about a film about low-life heroin users in Scotland, then just think where The Truman Show might take us. So, Frankie, we love you. Brilliant choice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frankie.
Yes, thank you.
Wow. Okay. I would say the choice was, and we did. Thank you for proposing two. We did have a discussion internally, and out of Fargo and The Truman Show, I think The Truman Show. While we do like Fargo, and I think
I don't know
alert.
Fargo. I've not seen
It's
Fargo.
great. Okay. Well,
We just thought it'd get more likes and more hits, and that's what we're all about. We're a money-making machine now. Spotify are battering their eyelids at us, so we're in it for the money now. Yeah.
Well, my choice, Basic Instinct, is off the charts, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's a really good choice. Who knew that?
If you've not yet listened to it, give it a listen.
Yeah.
And,
lots of people are listening to it. And as I say, interacting on it as well.
And maybe give our little sister pod a follow, where I tell Charlie why Ocean Colour Scene are the band that Nirvana could have been. Yeah, it's 20 minutes of back and forth.
Not real.
Might make that a reality. Well, I've got equally a healthy number of subscribers and interaction on my other channel,
OnlyFans,
which is Charlie Gig Goer, YouTube, where I film all the gigs I go to. My biggest ever, I think, the Sex Pistols is now running at Joe. When you had a last look at it?
Oh, I don't know. That was last year sometime.
I don't know. I think it stopped looking at about 500,000, something like that.
500,000.
500,000 of a 90-second clip of a Sex Pistols tribute band singing "Anarchy in the UK." Well, I'll put that in the. That could do with the bounce. So yeah, I'll put that in the.
Put that in the link.
In the link, you get a link. You get a link. I get a like. So yes, The Truman Show will be the next one. Hope you're enjoying the short form videos that we're doing. I might watch the Terminator 2 just because it's called T2. They're both called T2. I might watch Trainspotting 2 and make a really
it's a strong
real,
end. Bring it home. Yeah.
No, a real enemy of people if I do a what the fuck happened to Trainspotting 2, because I think that's quite liked as well. So Basic Instinct 2 is a slam dunk. Nobody likes it. Nobody wanted it. Nobody watched it. Yeah. I don't know what I'll do, but I'm trying to get used to my video editing skills, and they're getting a bit better, aren't they?
They are.
Thank you,
excellent.
Thank you. I know these two. None of these two will go, oh yeah, it looked really good how you put it together. I debate whether or not Dom's even watched it.
You're fishing for compliments there. You've already had the praise on our private WhatsApp thread. By the way, you can buy access to that if you want, listeners, for let's say 20 quid, and you can have access to that for a week. It's solid gold.
It's worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
It's worth it, but we'd never make another podcast again.
So what Charlie's basically saying is go and watch his What Happened to Basic Instinct 2, WTF Basic Instinct 2, because it is, I'll begrudgingly admit, well put together.
Thank you.
Except it doesn't mention Stan Collymore.
Yeah, and there's an obvious video that would have accompanied Stan Collymore, Charlie, but it's probably 20 years still too raw for you, isn't it?
Yes, all right.
About a goal.
Yes, winning goals. Yes.
Just Google Keegan slumped and you'll find the
Yeah, in
goal
fact,
impression.
Keegan slump. That's it. Yeah, and Stan Collymore with his gentleman run. Yeah,
Shagged
that's
Ulrika
all.
Johnson, Stan Collymore.
Yeah,
There's a strong ending for our pod.
Beat a Black and Blue as well. Yeah.
Oh, did he? Yeah, I forgot about that. Edit that bit out. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's focus on Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie's sex life. That seemed a lot more wholesome. Oh no,
They only lasted 18 months.
Well,
we can only wonder what went on behind those closed doors.
He jumped out of a plane to impress her.
Really? Jesus.
Yeah.
She must be the bitch of all bitches.
Here we go. This is definitely going to get edited, isn't it? But,
No, I'm going to leave it in.
Right,
No,
go
just
on,
because
let's wrap up.
Well,
babe.
she was married to Billy Bob Thornton, which again I can understand there being problems there. I mean, she used to make out with her brother, right? And she had some sort of thing with him. And then Brad Pitt. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's 3 husbands.
Barry Hoda, Y-shaped coffin, eh? Bloody hell.
Could be all assholes.
Anyway, right, on that note, right, we'll see you for the next one. So I'll say thank you, everyone, and cheerio.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Little Pip.